All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. How you doing today? It sounds awesome. So today we are going to go over the coronavirus outbreak. And my lovely girlfriend was out sick. Today's Tuesday. She was out sick last Thursday with a cough and a headache and just the crap, and then she couldn't go to work Friday, and then Saturday had a fever and a headache and a cough and really stuffy nose, and Sunday. So I've been taking care, and then it was even out Monday. Usually she bounces back. Even had to call out Monday. Now she's on the mend, and I'm definitely getting something. And so I thought it was just a perfect day to talk about the coronavirus. I don't think she has it because the fever only lasted like an hour or two. And also another teacher, basically all the teachers are out where she works. So another teacher had gone to the doctor with a fever and a headache and a cough, and she had bronchitis. But the point of explaining all of that is I don't think that where I'm at regionally in New York City, that like the New York State area, I really have a hunch that they weren't even able to test for it in this area until it's March 2nd, until like a day or two ago. And I think they were just kind of biding time, being like, we're sending it to the CDC, but the CDC is just taking a long time to get the result back, but the results are coming, and the CDC is like, the test we're testing, but the test that they sent, we can't trust that test, but now this test, it's going to take 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden the language changed, like yesterday, or they're saying now we can test, or there's testing, and now the language is all, now that we can test, and we'll be able to see how many we have. I was laughing at the thought that the CDC is using Elizabeth Holmes' Edison machine to do the testing, like they bought them for real cheap a while back, not noticing, and now they're like, it said it just one drop of blood would do the testing. I don't know what's happening. We bought them from this tall blonde man with a low voice, and he was saying that at first that people call you crazy, and then they fight you, but then you change the world. So we thought that sounded good. I don't know. And like the word Edison is just crossed out, and with a crayon it says coronavirus tester. But anyway, I really think that they were just like, tell them that we're figuring out testing, and now all of a sudden they're like, now that we can test. So there was a moment when my girlfriend had a fever on Saturday, but the thought was, what do we even do? Go in, and then it takes 3 weeks to test, and then they can't really do much. Might as well just stay here, keep her hydrated. But like I said, whatever she had or whatever, I'm getting something. So there's that. With all that, I thought this was the perfect day to do the coronavirus outbreak episode. So I went down the wormhole for the coronavirus this weekend, and there's a few stories, some far-fetched ways of where it came from, but that are still pretty interesting. Like this case would deserve maybe an episode or even a movie on its own without even being connected to the coronavirus case. But listen to this. So like a month or two ago, the top Harvard biologist, Charles Lieber, the chair of Harvard Chemistry and Chemical Biology Department, was arrested and indicted on charges of grant fraud, which, if it's not connected to the coronavirus, the charges are that he was given a contract for $15 million from the Department of Defense and the National Health Association. Think about that. $15 million for the Department of Defense to work on something. Top biologists, help us with this. And if you take a contract that big, or I think any contract, taxpayer money to figure something out for us, you got to disclose if some other government, especially an authoritarian communist government that just treats their citizens horribly. If you're getting another huge chunk of money from them, you have to disclose it. because it's not fair for us to pay 15 million and then the Chinese get the information for a deal. So, but old Charles Lieber, head of the chemistry and chemical and every department, the whole thing, Charles didn't disclose that he was getting 50 grand a month from the Chinese government. That's just a salary, 150,000 to cover living expenses if you can't figure out how to live off of the 50 grand a month. And also a university in Wuhan, China paid him 1.5 million to start a lab. So you could see just the key words of this news story: chemical biology, Department of Defense, Charles Lieber, Harvard, Wuhan, China. So people are going, what if it's a concocted, virus here, they bought it from him, and then two others. So it's the whole thing with our top universities is they think that the Chinese are sending over research assistants and grad students. Like another one with this story is just some lady, a Chinese research assistant, was coming over to study. Just, I'm here to learn. And then it comes out that she's Chinese military. You forgot to disclose that. And then she was a Chinese nationalist, and then another one working at a Boston hospital, or I think maybe even at Harvard too, as a Harvard-sponsored researcher. She was caught trying to smuggle biological materials in 20 little vials back to China. So right there, just the fact that Wuhan is mentioned in that case is, you can understand why people's imaginations are running wild with that one. But Wuhan is a huge city with 11 million people, so the chances that multiple things are happening at the same time is pretty good. So there's that story, which is absolutely nuts. And then the story that they're actually going with, the Chinese government is going with, which the fact that that's the one that they're saying means it's a pretty good chance it's a total lie. But it's just as interesting, too, that the virus started in this horrifically disgusting, animal market where you can go in and buy, a snake or a deer, a live deer or a rabbit or a bat or a thing of oysters or something. It's picture this thing, it looks like a farmer's market from hell. You go in there and it's just dark, and there's a live deer you can buy, and the live deer is shitting into the oyster bucket. And it's what is this? And there's bats screaming and showing their fangs. Again, there's so many parts of this whole coronavirus thing that are just perfect for the movie already. If it came from this disgusting animal market thing, that'd be a perfect first scene. These two Chinese guys go in to buy a snake, and they go in and it's horrifying, and a bat is ah! And there's a deer and a bunny in there that looks scared and sick, and it's just disgusting. It's maybe spread out a little bit. Put the live deer in a different place. The oyster handlers are getting a cough over here. And another really cinematic moment is the guy from Iran, either the health official or the leader. He's was doing the speech telling everyone, no, it's okay. But he's wiping and coughing, and then he ends up having it. And so the theories, obviously anytime something like this happens with a spread, an outbreak of a virus, especially with an authoritarian government like China that constantly just stomps on its people and does anything it can to control the ideas and the actions of them, anytime something like this happens coming out of China, you're going to get a lot of debate whether, okay, did it come out naturally in this disgusting snake market with the deer and the oysters? It's possible. Looks really gross. Smells pretty gross. I could see it happening here. Or was this manufactured and let out on purpose to maybe regain control, or let out on accident like they were making it, and oops, it got out, it got into the oysters, the live rat has it, and which is interesting. And so if they say, the reason I don't think it was let out on purpose by the Chinese government to like regain control, which viruses are good at that, because all of a sudden you're like, I don't need this government, they're oppressive and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden there's a real scary virus, and they're like, I need the daddy government to help me, I don't know what to do. And it always had felt like China was trying to regain, they had a rough year, I feel like, controlling their people. The internet, everything's out. Winnie the Pooh was banned this year. South Park was banned this year. They had the whole thing with the NBA, the whole free speech. Hong Kong, day after day after day of protest, and in the media, talking about the authoritarian government and how they don't want to go back. And then so you could see how people would think after a year like that, China's like, all right, puts out a little virus, the death rate is really low, but the fear rate is really high. And so now there's no more protests. That's all over with. They clamping down. Everybody has that feeling of, please, daddy government, fix this for us. There's cities where you go out in China, you walk out, and there's just a box on the sidewalk that just goes, go inside, go inside, go inside. And so if you felt freedom was going up, a little bit too much freedom around here, this would be a decent plan, because now everyone is just terrified in their house. They have that feeling, all right, we do need you, I love you, Papa Government. And they got the voice boxes, go inside, go inside. The reason that I don't think they did it on purpose or let it out or anything, and I do think it probably originated from just a snake pit, farmer's market from hell, bat market, is because I think above all, they just want the economies to be, they want us all in both governments. They want everyone working like a whipped donkey. And if we're sick and the markets tank, that doesn't really help them. They love money. They love a lot of money. And they love the whole thing running smooth. So I really do believe that they just want to nip this thing in the bud and to get back to business as usual. Yeah, I think that since I'm only at 12, I'm going to do a little Lori Vallow update. So I'm still following this one really closely too. We're kind of just waiting for her to be what's the word? Not extradited. There it is. We're waiting for her to be extradited by the Rexburg police. They flew out to Hawaii. That'd be a great assignment, right? Can you fly out to Hawaii and get that Vallow lady, or the Daybell woman, bring her back? So there was another bond hearing where you could tell it was her last desperate attempt to get it down. I think her plan was, all right, do one more bond hearing, try to get it lowered. If we can make bond, then we're just going to stall this thing out indefinitely in Hawaii. We got our condo. We got it's nice weather here. We're way far away from where it all happened. And so her lawyer, different lawyer from the first where he tried to argue it down, but then this lawyer was like, same argument, a little bit more emotion to it, but same argument, basically saying her husband lives here. I don't know why I think that is such a funny argument for this one. Her husband lives here. I would have loved to have been the prosecution to argue against that one. I would have had my big moment with the NBC cameras rolling. Just go, yes, the defense said that her husband, Chad Daybell, lives here. Well, Chad is a Mormon dystopian novelist podcaster, which was wiped out by a wave in La Jolla, met his grandpa. and then felt like his veil, which separates him from the spirit world, was then open, which allows him to have vision quests, one of which was that his wife in her 40s was going to die, which she did. And so I would like to say that not only does the fact that this man lives here in a rented condo doesn't make me feel like that she has a less of a chance of leaving or doing something crazy, but I think that them being apart is probably the best thing that we can do. Therefore, I don't think bond should be raised, no questions, no further last questions. And they'd be like, you're not asking a witness questions, and also saying no further last questions makes zero sense. And it's like, I'm sorry. It just sounded good at the end of the speech. So yeah, they was like her husband lives here, and also if this case was any other charges, it wouldn't be the $5 million bond. And then the other lawyer kind of did the same arguments. This lady is totally nuts, blah, blah, blah. Bail was confirmed at $5 million, and then as soon as it was confirmed, also the judge tried to have her big moment in front of the cameras by making a big show of defining the word confirmed. She was like, I confirmed it at $5 million this time, and the definition of confirmed, and it's like, all right, lady, just confirm it. And so she confirms it, and then immediately Lori's lawyer was like, okay, we would like to waive extradition. So you can see the plan of let's try to lower it down and we'll make bail and then stall it out for as long as we can here in Hawaii. And they're like, nah, you're going to stay in jail as long as you're here. And they're like, all right, we want to go back ASAP. The prosecution didn't have any problem with that because it sort of was just absurd that they were even in Hawaii. Why are we in Hawaii? This whole place is like a beach theme. Why is this Idaho cult woman even here? It felt absurd that they were even doing all of this arguing in Hawaii and sending her back to the Hawaii jail when the whole thing, So she, like I said, matter of time, will be headed back to Rexburg. If this was a movie, when the plane took off with Lori on it, the sun in Hawaii would become a little brighter and it would just say Chapter 3. The Return to Idaho. And I can't wait to hear what happens when she gets there. We're going to keep following it. I would love to have them release like some sort of, when they questioned her or one of the little interrogations. At this point, it just kind of, I'm just waiting for the court process to happen, which everything kind of slows down once you're at that point. I find myself having very little interest in all of the drama that is happening with her family. There's a lot of want for, more content with this case. So a lot of the news places now have like Lori's fourth cousin's aunt's email may show something. Click here. And it's like, I'm kind of just getting bored. Let's get like an interrogation or something. Let's see what happens when they get back to Idaho. I'm excited for those autopsies of all the ex-spouses to come out. So let's see what happens with that. I hope you're having a good day. If I don't have the coronavirus, I'll see you soon. Why? Stab and why? Last question.